beef, fast takes, no grief. Hey, big games, big plays, your update in 38 days. It's the Raw Dog Sport Brief. Let's go. Highlights on talk, short street. It's the Raw Dog Sport Brief. Get it on down, 30 hit the race rates.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Rob Dog Sport Brief, where today, after some breaking news in the NFL, I am being joined by a friend of the show, Dawson Hag, who is also the president of the UWL Cornhole Club, so good for him. We will be talking, obviously, about what this means for Denver, who the hell Malik Willis is going to throw the ball to, and so much more today, because, as we know, March is always an interesting time of year for the world of sports. So with that being said, alright Dawson, let's hear what you think about your Rumble ponies.
When I first saw it come across my page, I was shocked. But I'm grateful that Denver did find a number 1/number 2 receiver, because now we have two players that are really good that Bo Nix will be able to throw to, and he doesn't have to focus on Cortland Sutton solely to get a lot done. And I mean, we made it to the AFC Championship without Jalen Waddle. What do you think's going to happen next year with him in the lineup? Are we going to make it farther now?
Depends what your defense is going to look like. Last year you probably would have got there if Bo Nix was healthy, but your defense worked wonders. You were kind of as weird as it is, granted you did come back in the fourth quarter a lot, you were kind of the opposite of the Bears, where the offense did just enough until the fourth quarter, and that defense was the one who played well for, compared to the Bears, where the defense did just enough to get through the fourth quarter, then the offense would show up and light the scoreboard up for one quarter. But
some games were like that, where the defense held their own and the offense just magically showed up in the fourth quarter.
So that was Denver last year was fun to watch just because you were seeing Bo Nix do some crazy things and showing that he is arguably one of the best quarterbacks from that draft class, and has an argument to say he's better than the guys who went ahead of him, like Jaden Daniels. Sure as hell is better than J.J. McCarthy.
Yep.
Penix Jr., this was quite the draft class, now that I think of it. Like, the only ones that, could have possibly been, you could argue were better than him, because he was he was a rookie in 24. So, of the 24 draft class, the only ones that you could argue have been better than him so far is maybe Drake May and Caleb Williams, because of what they did, but even then, it's it depends what you'd want me looking for your arguments.
Right. But, I mean, I guess if you look at it based on consistency with just 2 seasons, this is kind of showing my bias, but Bo Nix is better than both Drake May and Caleb Williams.
I mean, yeah,
Because
consistency-wise, I can see it, because Caleb Williams, he's the quarterback where I can be sitting there going, oh, he had a great game. He might be the next guy. And then the next game, he's like 9 of 12 for 75 yards after the first half.
well, not just that, but like, I get it's a team sport, but you also need a quarterback that's willing to and able to lead the offense consistently. With Denver making it to the playoffs the past 2 years with Bo Nix under center, you can't really say that about the Bears. Can't really say that about the Patriots either.
Yeah, unfortunately,
So,
I can't say that about Chicago, but we also know in the first 2 years, if we count interim coaches, Caleb Williams has had 3 coaches in 2 years. Two of them.
right, which is not good.
So, one could make the argument it was kind of like a rookie season for him again this year.
I was gonna say it was basically a revolving door of head coaches, but hopefully now with Ben Johnson at the helm, we'll see more consistency out of Caleb Williams. And I mean, same thing with Drake May, with Vrabel at the helm. These are arguably the three best quarterbacks. With the knowledge we have right now, these are the three best quarterbacks from that draft class. Jaden Daniels is probably at 4.
I'd say Jaden Daniels is he's ending up like RG3 did. Great rookie
Unfortunately.
season, carried his team to the playoffs, got hurt the next year. So far, he only difference is he actually won a playoff game. Wait,
Hmm.
2 of them actually, but
Yeah.
that's the literally the only difference is between Jaden Daniels and RG3 is that he won a few playoff games, but right now his career arc is the exact same as RG3. Number 2 overall pick, both went to Washington, both had out of this world rookie seasons, got hurt in their second year. Let's see what year 3 brings.
Exactly.
Well, the Eagles signed Marquise Hollywood Brown. Just
Oh,
like
interesting. Did that just come?
39 minutes ago on Twitter.
Huh. I must have missed that one.
Eh, we'll see what happens here with So I'm trying to see it. I'm trying to pull up the wide receiving room tweets that I found.
I was gonna say, from what I'm seeing, the wide receivers that I'm seeing on Miami's depth chart right now are Malik Washington and Taj Washington.
Yeah, which the only good news for Dolphin fans is Malik Willis is used to not having anybody to throw the football to.
Yeah.
He has gotten used to not having anyone to throw the ball to. Nothing against the Packers, Packer fans, but let's face it. Granted, he had more weapons in Green Bay than he did ever with Tennessee and right now Miami. But would you really consider, like, weapons? Let's be honest with ourselves, Packer fans. For Malik Willis, yes, Green Bay's receiving room's an upgrade from what you just heard, but is a wide receiving room of a healthy for like for 3-4 games a year Christian Watson Romeo Dobbs and his, 30 Guardian caps and still getting concussed. Um, let's see here. Matthew Golden when he's actually utilized in the playbook. Jalen Reed, the one or two games you get out of that I'm sure you see the point. Can't believe I forgot the name of the guy who just balled out on Thanksgiving against Detroit for no apparent reason. But anyways, you see my point. I'm sure Packer fans are going to crucify me for saying that. But once Tucker Kraft went down, whether it was Jordan Love or Malik Willis, they lost basically the only receiving threat they had on the field.
I mean, man, the injury bug kills, and just looking at what Miami has, it's next to nothing because Tyreek Hill's gone, Waddle's now gone. What do you think's going on in the front office for Miami?
Something very similar to what the Bears did under the first few years of Ryan Poles, where they knew it was going to be bad, but they're gutting the roster, trying to get rid of these bad contracts, knowing that Waddle was basically the only one of the receivers they have over here that was any good and still in his prime, and don't look now, Dawson, but you're not going to have much of a draft to speak of now. But I'm sure you're, like you said, you're happy with it. But Dolphins looking around knew that Waddle was the only one they were able to get a first rounder, a third rounder, and a fourth rounder all this year for.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tyreek Hill, if he ain't hurt, he's busy making kids.
Mm-hmm. He's trying to catch Phillip Rivers.
Pretty much. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, Waddle's gone now. I don't. Just they're eating. Look at all the money they're having to eat from moving on from Tua, admitting that was a mistake all this time later. So
I was gonna say it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in Atlanta.
yeah, they're going to. My guess is the Dolphins draft is. It's gonna be interesting because how this year we all know it's very trench heavy with offensive and defensive linemen. You still have skill position players that are good, but
Mm-hmm.
the Dolphins are going to be interesting because they really didn't do much in free agency besides trading away guys and releasing players trying to just it's like a full-fledged gutting rebuild, and the guy they brought in would know how to rebuild a roster on a shoestring budget because he's from the Packers, and the Packers have mastered what?
They've mastered just recycling every few years, it seems, but still end up being contenders.
Exactly. How they do it? I don't know. Other than
You don't know.
actually, I guess I do know. They're smart with their free agency money, and and when they do make trades, they don't waste it on something stupid like what the fans. We could get Crosby. We could get this. And the Packers. We don't have the money for all that. However, we can give up 2 first-round picks and a defensive tackle for Micah Parsons, and then extend him. We're not going to look at down the road when one of he's slated to make $73 million in one of those seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But also that's going to be brutal, and the Packers better hope that they don't have to pay up for Jordan Love again because $55 million right now, but you know how much more that price will go up if he plays like we know he can when he's healthy?
Hmm. It's gonna cost more than the Packers are willing to pay.
Yeah, which that's one thing where the Packers, when they do this, Ed Policy came out and he said the quiet part out loud, and the Packer fans were ready to crucify him for doing it. Like, he came out and said flat out that with the way the current economic state of the NFL is, the Packers are going to have naming rights on the side of Lambeau Field. The name
Hmm.
isn't going away anywhere. All they're going to do is convince somebody like Miller Brewing Company or
Quick Trip.
that might be a little rich for their blood. But
But
they're
that
gonna,
would be funny.
yes, it would. But they're gonna be
Lambeau Field at Quick Trip Stadium or something.
they're not like they will never rename it from Lambeau Field. All like what Packer fans seem to not realize is all they're gonna do is like what these think like Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium. Those are never gonna be renamed. However,
Hmm.
what do the teams do? It still says Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium, but how much advertising do you see on the side because the company's overpaid for it?
A lot. Most of them are on like across the board, left to right, just on the fence,
Yeah, I was
even
say,
behind the plate.
yeah, and Ed Policy even said like when they're talking about it, this article. Well, okay, this wasn't Policy who said it, but the article from like NBC's Pro Football Focus when they were talking about this said like when the Dolphins sold just 1% of their stake, it went for like $12 billion or something stupid like that. Where the
We won't
Packers,
see that in our lifetime.
they so Policy's saying he loves the fans and all this, but if they keep trying to grasp on to the Brewer Bear fan like this, the way they have
Hmm.
been for that, he basically said it's a great model, but if we keep doing this, we're not going to be able to keep up, and pretty soon the Packers will turn into and we're the Cleveland Browns when they punt every play. Okay, it might not be that bad, but still.
Right. Still probably one of the best hashtags to come out of last season for you and I.
Oh, that was
Hmm.
everybody.
Punts.
But yeah, it's like I don't. There's a lot of Packer fans. Like you've probably seen the stuff on you see a lot of the same sports stuff on Twitter that me and every other sports fan see. And like when it's something as big as the Packers talking about that, the comment sections they did not disappoint. I'm also amazed I haven't been
Per
blocked.
usual.
Yeah. Also amazed I haven't been blocked on Twitter by one of the people that we all make fun of in Wisconsin for being a high school sports reporter, but he has the most like dumbest takes on high school sports. That's like how are like we question his credibility because of like
Hmm.
his credibility is so questionable. Like long story short, this person thinks small rural schools of less than 100 kids can afford putting a shot clock so his ass can make it like the try and make it like the NBA because he gets bored watching teams actually play defense. He wants a shot clock to try and pick up the pace of play and make it more fun. Even though he doesn't have a kid playing or anything, he's just yeah. He does so there is that, but so yeah, and so I got See, that happened where he was posting about how on his platform with the company he works for next to his thing in his username about how the if policy does this, his legacy will be ruined and the Packers will be tarnished forever and we should fire him and all. And it's like, Packer fans, this isn't that big a deal. All he's doing is saying the quiet part out loud. You've had it good. I don't think they realize that ever since they had Brett Favre in the Favre-Rodgers era, if they're considering all this stuff right now, the dark ages, and complaining about that, try rooting for a team that's not even going to be in the damn state anymore. And try rooting for the team that's going to try and say they're Chicago while being in goddamn Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Try rooting for a team who invented the double doink. I had to wait until I was a senior in college to see them win a playoff game for the first time since I was in first grade. You guys don't know pain and suffering and horror if these are your horror days. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens because obviously this put Packer fans into another little civil war amongst themselves because you have a lot of them going, no, we can't do this. As the owners, we should be able to veto it. And it's like, okay, please. Actually, yes, as a Bears fan, ignore the Milwaukee Brewers shirt on me right now. As a Chicago Bears fan, please, Packer fans, use your ownership power, as you call it, with your stocks that literally mean nothing but are an amazing fundraiser. Good job by the Packers for we can all say the Packers do great when it comes to selling this stock like that for fundraising, helping these events. Because there's one thing the Packers do better than the other sports teams in Wisconsin. It's they actually give back to the communities across the whole state, not just the 6 county area. We're looking at you, Bucks and Brewers. But it's go ahead, use your ownership ability to veto that in your next ownership meeting with all the fans, and keep vetoing it, because you're just doing the Bears, the Lions, the Vikings, and the rest of the NFL a favor by making yourselves go away because you won't get over your pride. And eventually going to have Vince Lombardi come out of his grave and tell you just do what you have to make my team win again.
I feel like even Vince Lombardi is going to be like, and even Curly Lambeau, they're both going to come out of their grave and be like, Packers fans, just accept it. It's a part of life. Just deal with it.
So yeah, that's
And
like
they aren't going to accept that, unfortunately.
No, they probably won't, which is very interesting to know that they are talking about this and hoping that they can somehow keep it as Lambeau Field with no sponsorship or anything. It's like the only way you can make it where none of this can happen really is somehow convincing the state of Wisconsin, or if you want to one-up the state, somehow convincing the federal government to make it a historical landmark where they can't touch it like they did Soldier Field. And even then, they still put a UFO on top of Soldier Field. But yeah, it'll be fun to see what happens with that. My guess is it's going to be You are here at the historic Lambeau Field, sponsored by, and then insert whoever you want the sponsor to be for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But now, with that being said, shall we go to the sport that actually matters this time of year in baseball?
Might as well.
So
The stage is set, man.
the stage has been set indeed for the WBC championship game with Team USA, which the fact they got this far is a miracle. And
Hmm.
the first time championship appearance of Venezuela. I am guaranteed to see at least one Milwaukee Brewer win a championship now.
Unfortunately, I don't know about you, but I was personally hoping Italy was gonna win.
Yeah, it would have been a fun story to see a bunch of hyped up on caffeine Italians running around a baseball field, and Brewers third base prospect Andrew Fisher just absolutely hitting a bomb off of Nolan McLean again.
And I was gonna say then it would be the US possibly, but also hopefully getting their revenge because they got bailed out. We all know that to
Well,
even make it to the championship.
yeah, although I will say this, well, a lot of the people complaining, oh, we need ABS, we need ABS. I'm like, okay, that would have changed that one pitch. However, I don't think a lot of these players for the Dominican realize, yes, it was 2-1. Yes, there would have been a lot of things challenged by both sides in that game. However, you were held scoreless for 8 out of the 9 innings
Hmm.
with that
And
roster. If
and I was gonna say even the one run was just one of these fluke. And if I remember correctly, they even said it on the telecast. They're like, Skeens shouldn't be throwing the fastball as much as he did. And lo and behold, what pitch does that home run come on?
yeah, it came on the fastball. However, you got to realize when a pitcher's dealing and they can't touch a pitch, up until that home run, were they touching Skeen's fastball? Did any of them catch up to it?
Most of the time, no.
So that's why uh, the catcher, Will Smith, kept putting down one finger. Or I guess
Hmm.
hitting a button now, but it's like when Juan Soto came out and said we showed the world who the better team was, and it's like, yeah, you did.
You guys didn't.
You did show.
Because
You showed who the best team in the world was. The United States today. So for
I was gonna
this
say,
year,
you look at every single pitcher the U.S. threw out in that game, and hardly any of the DR hitters could touch him. Which, did you see the sad news about the championship?
I was gonna say, yeah, I saw how our starting pitcher is gonna be Noel McLean. God help us all. And then I also saw how they were talking about how the Padres front office, curse you, Preller, just give us Mason Miller. Just let us have Miller because he'd be one inning on 2 days rest. Nothing's gonna happen to him. But they're gonna say how we're not gonna have, probably not gonna have Mason Miller for the title game at the end, and due to pitch
Yeah,
stuff that the Yankees want, they're not gonna let us have Bednar either, which means we're down our two best guys in the back end of the pen. And a championship game versus a Venezuelan roster that's been notorious for just absolutely grinding out pitching, and the U.S. now has nobody that we have no one left. The only good news for us is Venezuela and Italy, whoever won that game, wasn't going to have much pitching either.
I was gonna say I didn't hear about Bednar. I did hear about Miller,
Yeah, I
but
saw it on Twitter.
that's a 1-2 punch of this is gonna be an interesting game, which we both know we're gonna watch.
Yeah, it's going to come down to offensive firepower, which the U.S. bat, for some reason, the Venezuelan guys, they've taken it seriously. They remember how to hit a ball. The U.S., I'm starting to think 2017 for us winning it was a fluke because we we don't take it seriously. Our
Hmm.
best big name stars, like, there's no excuse why. Well, okay, I'm glad we had Skeens against the DR yesterday because Scooble probably wouldn't have gotten it done against that roster. But there's no excuse why, after 50 pitches against Great Britain, Scooble went home back to spring training for the Tigers. There's no
Hmm.
reason he shouldn't have been there and been pitching tonight instead of McLean. Like, there is
Yep.
no reason we should not have been able to sit on either Scooble or Skeens for this game, or if worst case scenario, if the crap hit the fan, okay, DR, you just got done with Skeens. Here comes Scooble.
Hmm.
There's no reason we couldn't have done that, other than
Right.
the guys in the MLB, they care more about their paycheck than their national pride. Like, I understand why everyone knew we were going to use Skeens against the Dominican because we couldn't afford to roll out Nolan McLean or someone like that. We
Hmm.
had to send the best pitcher we had.
Do you think the U.S. made a mistake, like looking back, saying that Kershaw wasn't going to be on the roster?
Yes, but also no at the same time because he's retired. So, but he's the guy that's supposed to be he was the break glass in case of emergency, like you have no pitchers left type arm. So,
Hmm.
we probably wouldn't have seen him pitching at all in this WBC. He was kind of just there for one last hurrah for us to see him ride off into the sunset. But I don't I really don't know how to say it other than it sucks because the best pitcher of our generation rode off from the sunset and we didn't get to see him pitch for Team USA ever. However,
Hmm.
it's also not the end of the world when he's even admitted, yeah, my fastball, even when I'm letting it rip as hard as I can, I only get to like 82 miles an hour now. So, I he would have had to be relying on more like off-speed junk movement
Hmm.
pitches, like every other pitcher at the end of their career has to.
But I still feel like he would have been like actually helpful for this final. But again, if Scooble had said, "No, I will pitch," then it's like, okay, now that does make sense why you let Kershaw ride off into the sunset and say he's done. But now that Scooble isn't, we kind of need help in the bullpen, and Kershaw, I think, would have been able to help us one last time.
Yeah, the biggest problem the United States has is their manager in Mark DeRosa. That guy does not know how to like he you can say he can come up with all the excuses he wants of, well, I have to answer to 30 MLB organizations and all that, which is true. However, we saw how bad he mismanaged a pitching staff and how terrible of a lineup card he put out versus Italy. There is no
Mm-hmm.
reason. Like, I'm sorry. In a game that made or break, if you that you were, he's lucky that the Italians did more than just beat Mexico, but pummeled them because that game, when you have an elimination game, I'm sorry, I do not want to see a damn near 40-year-old Paul Goldschmidt, Ernie Clement, Alex Bregman. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't Bregman. Gunnar Henderson actually proved he's worth. But you get my
Yeah.
point. I don't want to see that. Like, they're good, but Ernie Clement, look what happened when you brought Terang in late in that game. He hit the ball when Clement just strike three, strike three, strike three, strike three. Every game he had. Ooh, he's quick. Yeah, so is everyone else on that team.
I was gonna say, you also should look at the World Series for crying out loud. Like, Ernie Clement, to my knowledge, didn't do a thing, really, in the World Series.
World Series, he didn't do a whole lot, but the ALDS and ALCS, he was, for some weird reason, going scorched earth. But it's also interesting because another thing I saw on Twitter during this WBC and all that is talking about if Bryce Terang, if he's ascended to a star or even superstar yet, and how the WBC could help him ascend there. And it's like, I don't think these people realize that for Bryce Terang, it's easier for me to say it as a Brewer fan because I get to see him every single game. But
Mm-hmm.
he's won a platinum glove. He's won how many gold gloves? In his first 3 years in the show with the LB.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as Rob is trying to reconnect to the internet and get back into this episode, I just wanted to let you know we appreciate all the support for his podcast, as well as the fact that everyone is willing to go and support him. One of the things that has been great over the past few years that I've known Rob, just getting to have a friend that is interested deeply about the same sports that I am has found a great friendship, and you should all find a friendship where you have a lot of similar views, also similar humor. If you don't agree on everything, as long as you have the one thing that is working to bring you guys close together, stick with that, and the rest of the friendship will come naturally. I'm also the president and founder of the UWL Cornhole Club. We are associated with the American Cornhole League, and there is a ACL Open in La Crosse at the La Crosse Center from April 10th to April 12th, 2025. I will be there to have a table there as well as to compete. So if you want to come and meet me and the rest of the team, I'd be happy to see you guys and chat with you guys on the process.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for in the middle of what was an episode we were recording earlier with Dawson Hag, friend of the show, that we were having technical difficulties. We apologize and thank you for making it this far with us as we were able to get back up and running. Unfortunately, Dawson had to go his separate way for the rest of the day. However, we'll pick back up right where we left off with the process of an incredible show where we were talking about Bryce Terang and how they're saying his appearance in the WBC will help him ascend to being a superstar. Okay, so unfortunately, yeah, we didn't have the Wi-Fi decided to take a dump on us. However, I'll say this. With the WBC, it's been amazing. Like, everything we could have wanted and then some. Like, it's been baseball's greatest thing all around me. We're going to ignore behind me being literally a cathedral of baseball. However, this year's WBC has been what we were hoping for. And I will get to it after I finish the point on how Bryce Terang, he's always been this good. It's just, however, and I mean this, however, unless you're a Brewer fan who watched Bryce Terang on the regular, you didn't know he was this good. Like, you genuinely wouldn't have known because the playoffs, it was like they got reintroduced to the world last October, and everyone was going, who are these guys? But Terang, he's always been a solid, and I mean a solid defender with a Platinum Glove Award. Pretty sure he has a Gold Glove Award. He's a Platinum Glover, and he's one of the best defenders in the league. And as we saw in the WBC so far, he's also one of the best bats in all of baseball amongst second basemen. But most people seem to forget about that because of how he's with the Brewers, the smallest market in all of baseball. People seem to forget and have short attention spans. It also doesn't help that ESPN and all those places don't talk about the Brewers because we're not Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers over here, the Yankees here, Steve Cohen and the Mets up here, the Red Sox just over here off the corner, the Phillies down here, you know, or Preller and the Padres just off the screen as well for all these big market teams that are the sexy topic, loaded with stars. There is that. But I would argue Bryce Terang is a superstar. While the numbers may not show it at times. Last year, he hit .288 with 18 home runs and had a 5.6 WAR with 81 ribbies and 24 stolen bases. Defensively, he's great. He's also really quick and steals bases. On his career, he has a 257 average with 31 dingers, 100 stolen bases, and an 11.8 WAR. And WAR, for those of you who may not know, that's wins above record. So, like, you take him out, they think the Brewers would lose 11 point... Well, I don't know how you get 0.8 losses, but they don't think... They're essentially saying the Brewers would be 12 games worse without him. So let this sink in. Let's look at last year's 97 win team. 12 losses just without Trae, or even the 11. That would put them at like an 80... let's see, so 97 minus 10, that's 87. That'll put him at like 85, 86 wins without him, according to their math for that formula. He also has a career 368 slugging percentage with a 693 OPS and a 93 OPS plus in his career. The man gets on base because he had a 359 OBP last year and a career OBP of 325. So again, all he does is get on base. In America, you're seeing just how good Bryce Terang is. And sorry, Dodger fans, he's not for sale for a while. I don't care what John Smoltz says on TV, he's not for sale. But anyways, with that being said now, the WBC has been everything and anything a man could be hoping for. Like, it was everything we wanted, and then some. We were getting unthought of teams going on runs like Italy. And we even got to see some new countries like Brazil in the mix. We got to see the electrician Andrew Santoria one more time before he retired. And overall, it's been great baseball. We watched Venezuela knock off Japan. We watched the Italians blow out the U.S. We just yesterday saw a 2-1 game between the Americans and the Dominican. And we still have one more game. This year's WBC has been amazing. And not to mention, the attendance every year since it started has been going up, 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 and up. And now, we've reached the point where it went from something where I was told a lot of people 20 years ago when this was first created were like, well, this is a joke. Like, go US, I guess, but I don't want the players from my team getting hurt, to now we're cursing out Scooble for not being there and saying I'm going to throw my 50 pitches and be done. We're cursing out these guys for not going. And we have more and more and more of the big name stars finally wanting to go. And it means something to all of them. I was told that wasn't always the case with the WBC. Nowadays, that is. And it is amazing that the WBC is finally something where the world cares. Because baseball fans, we deserve this. In this year's WBC, a lot more countries were taking it seriously too, because the top two finishing countries from the Americas, that's not the United States, punched their tickets to the Olympics. So there were 2 Olympic berths on the line as well, which is going to the Dominican and Venezuela. But still, we got it, and it amped it up, the intensity, and I cannot wait for what Game 1 is going to bring. Well, I guess it's a one and done, but still, I cannot wait for what this is going to bring with a winner-takes-all type of game. Because this is going to be lit. Like, absolutely lit. With that being said, though, it is March. And March brings us one of the most fun times a year. The NCAA tournament. The Badgers drew a 5 seed as they are taking on High Point. I really don't know a whole lot about High Point. I really don't. I've heard they've got some guys who are some shooters, and the people on TV talked about how this should be a fun back and forth high scoring game. My problem is it's on TBS on a Thursday afternoon. I don't have cable TV, so I'm going to be listening to the radio. And depending on the time slot they chose, I might not even be able to watch it because I'll be busy with something else. Yeah, what's the time slot they chose here? At 12:50. So I'm not even going to be able to watch it, which sucks. However, I'm going to sit back and enjoy this. Like, I will hopefully see them in the second round and watch that later. But, like I said, I really can't do a whole lot of a preview on this because I don't know anything about the team they're playing. It's not like the last couple years where it's like, oh, they're playing Montana. Oh, they're playing Old Dominion. You know, teams I've heard of, so I actually had an idea of what's going on. I didn't even know there was a such thing as High Point University until Sunday. But I won't be surprised if the Badgers are the 5-12 upset and lose, just because of how up and down, up and down, up and down of a roller coaster this team has been. Like, we can beat the highest of the high, like number 2 ranked Michigan on the road in Michigan, and then we turn around and get slaughtered by a 10-win Oregon Ducks. And then they'll beat another top 10 ranked Illinois. Lose to Indiana. I know this is not in the exact order, but you're getting the point here, right? We'll beat Purdue. Get blown out by Ohio State. We'll beat another top 10 team. Get blown out by an unranked school. I don't know what to expect out of this team. And this team is going to be interesting. However that is said, it will be interesting to see how it goes. And honestly, this March is going to be fun. And on the local front, and here, before we close things out, the University of Wisconsin lacrosse, their men's team lost in the Sweet 16. It's the second year in a row of them making it to at least the Sweet 16 before falling. This year, though, one that was slightly less talked about, the women's team made history. They went to the Elite Eight for the first time. The Sweet 16 for the first time. And they were just breaking records for left and right, and ultimately, both were fun to watch. Both of them fell to higher ranked opponents. However, we can't let that undermine how much fun of a season it was to watch on my computer screen for free. Still, I can't believe the WIAC has the audacity to charge people to watch their conference tournaments when it's D3 sports, but it was fun watching the game until that point. And then it was fun watching it when the NCAA lets me watch it online for free. With that being said, congratulations on another great season. And we'll see what they bring next year as well. With that being said, it's March. Let's bring on the madness. See what kind of chaos happens. And, ladies and gentlemen, next week is opening day baseball. So everyone celebrate, baby, because opening day baseball is back.